In February of 2012, New York Knicks point guard Jeremy Lin was effectively homeless, sleeping on his brother's couch.
And there's like half the couch is full of clothes and the other half of the couch is like where
You see, Lin wasn't your typical NBA player. He was the 15th man on the Knicks roster. Nobody knew who he was. He didn't even have a guaranteed contract. And he was literally 1 week away from playing his last ever game in the NBA.
I'm probably done. Like, this is probably the end of my NBA career.
But what if I told you that in a week's time, he wasn't just one of the best players in the NBA. He was, no word of a lie, the most Googled person on the planet.
The man at the center of the biggest story in sports.
New York Knicks Jeremy Lin.
Jeremy Lin.
Everyone's talking about Jeremy Lin.
Jeremy Lin is trending everywhere. The most searched headline and name on the internet as we came on the air tonight.
This is quite possibly the most remarkable story I have ever seen.
A kid named Jeremy Lin, who no one had ever heard of, now owns New York City.
11 days ago, who had heard of him? Now, who hasn't?
How on earth did this happen? Who is this guy? Where did he come from?
Even it looks like his teammates don't believe what they're seeing.
I mean, come on. This doesn't happen in real life.
You've written a lot of scripts. You've produced and directed.
If you took this to any studio, they would say, get out of here.
This is a story about a kid who defied the odds, broke down barriers, challenged our fundamental beliefs, what we thought was in the realm of possibility.
Tied at 87. Lin with the ball in his hands.
This is a story about a kid who was ignored, dismissed, overlooked at every turn, but kept fighting.
5, 4.
This is a story you just have to see to believe.
Lin for the win!
It's the 3rd of February, 2012. The New York Knicks have just returned from a road trip to Boston, and their third-string point guard Jeremy Lin has nowhere to sleep. You see, he normally sleeps on his brother's couch, who is a dental student at NYU. But on this particular night, his brother's couch is taken. There's a party on. Unsure what to do, Lin asks his teammate, Landry Fields, if he can crash at his place on this couch. Probably the worst night of his life to have a bad sleep, because the following day, the Knicks aren't just scheduled to play the Brooklyn Nets at Madison Square Garden, but Lin has been told by coach Mike D'Antoni that he'd get a chance to prove himself in this game. Now, Lin has only managed about 55 minutes for the entire season up until this point, but the Knicks have recently had a horrible run with injuries. Furthermore, Lin is on a non-guaranteed contract, meaning he can be cut at any time, and the deadline day for contracts to become guaranteed is less than a week away. Put simply, if the Knicks keep Lin on their roster for any longer, they'll have to pay out the rest of his contract. So it was a let's see what he can do before we cut him type of situation. And after a predictably horrific sleep, Lin wakes up to a call from his agent, Roger Montgomery, who probably only confirms what Lin himself is thinking. If you don't play well tonight, this will probably be your last game in the NBA, his agent tells him. Lin's dream of being a solidified NBA player was hanging in the balance, a dream that he had given everything to achieve. Born to 2 Taiwanese immigrants in Palo Alto, California, Lin fell in love with basketball from an early age. He always knew that's what he wanted to do, but he also knew that it was going to be an uphill battle because no Asian American had ever played in the NBA. In 2006, as a senior in high school, Lin led Palo Alto to a state championship and was named Northern California Player of the Year. However, he was offered 0 athletic scholarships. The only 2 colleges that offered him a guaranteed spot on their roster were Harvard and Brown, but neither of these schools offered sporting scholarships. So Lin attended Harvard, where he paid full tuition. And once again, despite solid averages and multiple standout performances, nobody took a chance on him.
With the first pick in the 2010 NBA draft, the Washington Wizards select John Wall, Wesley Johnson, DeMarcus Cousins, Paul George of Fresno State University, Eric Bledsoe, Avery Bradley,
Hassan Whiteside, Pneumonia Bielitsa.
Jeremy Lin went undrafted, but he didn't give up and got an opportunity to play with the Dallas Mavericks Summer League team in 2010. And his hometown Golden State Warriors liked what they saw, so they signed him to a 2-year non-guaranteed deal.
First Asian American NBA player in the modern era.
Unfortunately, Lin got barely any playing time and struggled to find any consistent form. He was cut after just 1 year. Once again though, he just kept going. And the Houston Rockets came calling, claiming him off the waivers prior to the 2011 NBA season, where he played in 2 preseason games. The Rockets were impressed, but they already had 3 point guards and just didn't have room for another one. Jeremy Lin was cut for a second time just before the NBA season began on Christmas Eve in 2011. In a recent podcast with his brother Joseph, Lin details how he thought that was it.
I'm probably done. Like, this is probably the end of my NBA career.
His NBA dream was over before it had really even begun, and flew back to Palo Alto to be with his family for Christmas.
One of the most sad plane flights. Dude, it's Christmas. I just got cut, and I think my NBA career is over.
But 3 days later, he gets a call. It's the New York Knicks. They're signing him to a non-guaranteed deal. He has until the 10th of February before the contract becomes guaranteed. In other words, Jeremy Lin has until the 10th of February to show what he can do, or else that's it. So here he was, February 4th in New York City, with one last chance. One game to keep his dream alive. One game to prove everyone who doubted him wrong, but most importantly, prove the ones who believed in him right. Lin's agent told him one more thing on the phone that day. He said, if you're gonna go out, you damn sure better go out swinging. So as promised, Lin gets his opportunity with 3 minutes remaining in the first quarter. At first, he makes a few good plays, enough to keep himself in the game for a little longer.
Nice feed inside, Lin to Jeffries.
But as the second quarter progresses, you can almost hear the surprise in commentator Mike Breen's voice as Lin just continues to make good play after good play.
Jeremy Lin drives and finishes. Lin flips it up and puts it in. Jeremy Lin.
He wasn't necessarily doing anything spectacular, just making the right decision. Again, and again, and again.
Bumped by Petro, gets to the rim, count it, and a foul.
And then the Knicks, who had been playing horrible basketball of late, who were down by double digits early in the first quarter, began to make a comeback, led by Jeremy Lin.
Alley-oop to Chandler. Oh, beautiful pass from Lin. And Jeremy Lin continues to excite this crowd.
And all of a sudden, there's a bit of energy in the building. A spark, something, someone to cheer for.
Gets to the rim, puts it in, and a foul. Wow.
Almost like all he needed was just a little bit of belief.
Jeremy Lin knocks it down. Career high 15.
15 points, 20 points.
Reverse layup, he puts it in. What a play for Jeremy Lin.
25 points.
Again, the crossover, the basket, puts it up, puts it in. Jeremy Lin with 25.
And before he could blink, the Knicks had won. Not because of their $100 million superstar Carmelo Anthony, but because of a small, skinny, Asian American kid out of Harvard University who sleeps on his brother's couch.
A magical night for Jeremy Lin. He's the hero from Harvard as the Knicks get a much-needed victory.
But of course, it was just one game. I mean, anyone in the NBA can catch fire on a given night. So sure, it made headlines, it got people in New York talking. Hell, Jeremy Lin had probably done enough to keep himself on the roster. But come on, we all live in the real world. He wasn't going to do it again.
You don't expect him to have 25 and 7 and 5 every single night. You just hope from a Knicks standpoint that he can run the offense as well as he ran it on Saturday.
Now the Knicks were already without their star player Amari Stoudemire when early in the first quarter, Carmelo Anthony leaves the game and does not return with a groin injury. The Knicks were decimated, but it didn't matter because Jeremy Lin was doing it again.
Lobs to Chandler and the finish. Jeremy Lin picking up where he left off. Lin backs it in and a foul.
And this time, he wasn't just making the right plays. He was making ridiculous plays.
Flips it up, backs it in and a foul. Reverse layup and a chance for a three-point play.
Head-scratching plays. Match-winning plays.
Splits the defenders, gets inside. Lefty layup, puts it in. Sensational move from Jeremy Lin. The Super Bowl champion Giants fired up. And the Knicks up by 9.
What the is going on.
Chandler keeps it alive. Lin has to put it up. Bang! A three-pointer as the shot clock expired. Already T-shirts being made.
28 points, 8 assists, and the Knicks win their second straight game.
A standing ovation for Jeremy Lin. He is the new starting point guard of the Knicks.
All right, 2 good games in a row. He's making international headlines. He's even earned himself a spot in the starting lineup. But now the Knicks are heading to Washington on the road. They're going up against a bona fide star in John Wall. There's no home crowd. There's no one to get him going. He's not going to do it again.
Lin the other way, drives and scores.
Nice move there by Lin. I mean, it was kind of a hesitation move. Then he saw the opening. You can see him say, let's go. Yeah. And that's the kind of bounce pass we're talking about. Heads-up play. That pass from Lin off the dribble, really.
Lin around the screen by Jeffries. Now pulls up for the jump shot. Got it off the glass. Lin, reverse layup for beauty.
He's doing it again.
Nobody's stopping Jeremy Lin on that play.
Once, that's a fluke. Twice, it's a coincidence. But 3 times, that's a pattern. And it was at this moment Jeremy Lin became more than just a basketball player. He actually became a symbol. For the Asian community, he was trailblazing, breaking down stereotypical barriers in real time. For the everyday American, he was the American dream, defying odds, overcoming challenges through hard work and perseverance. For the young kid who had been overlooked or undervalued, he was living proof that they had a chance. His story was so remarkable, and it resonated with so many people that in less than a week, he became a global icon.
You don't have to be a basketball fan to be a fan of the Knicks player, Jeremy Lin.
A name that was virtually unknown to most people even a week ago.
The energy and the feelings around New York.
Lin, we gonna win 1-7, keep it, we going to heaven. That's it.
Jeremy Lin had created a movement.
Linsanity made the best man Lin.
Linderfella story.
Lincredible, Linsane.
His jersey has been the NBA's top seller online, and in New York, retailers simply can't keep them in stock.
Taiwanese American, Harvard grad, cut by the Golden State Warriors, cut by the Houston Rockets. This is bigger than sports.
But there was an elephant in the room. How much longer was this Linsanity run really going to last?
Well, I'm wondering when we're going to get out of the Linsanity into reality.
He wasn't on the last 2 scouting.
Yeah, he wasn't. But
now he's on the scouting.
He is now.
We're going to see.
Simple answer, it wasn't, because their next matchup was Kobe Bryant in the LA Lakers. Friday night, ESPN, Madison Square Garden.
Let's see if he's in the scouting report for the Lakers on Friday night at the Garden.
Would you consider guarding him if he's having one of those games?
There is absolutely no way Jeremy Lin is going to outduel the great Kobe Bean Bryant on national television. That's just absolutely not happening.
When he penetrates, Lin shot, knocks it down. Good fade ahead, and Chandler throws it down. Lin puts it up, puts it in, knocks it down, and a foul.
Holy shit.
Lin likes the open floor, spinning, puts it up and banks it in. Yes. Sensational play for Jeremy Lin. And listen to this Garden crowd on this 10-0 run.
He's going toe-to-toe with Kobe Bryant.
Two-pointer, puts it in. Jeremy Lin with 31.
The stage just got bigger, and he's getting better.
Lin for 3. Bang!
38 points against the Lakers at the Garden? If Linsanity wasn't already a worldwide phenomenon, it was now.
You have been surpassed as the most famous person who was a Harvard graduate.
Jeremy
Lin.
This story has legs. Heck, it's running wild.
As the undrafted point guard from Harvard electrifies MSG once again.
Now, it depends who you ask. But some people say that this was the peak, if you will, of this whole ordeal. I mean, how could it get any better? But personally, I think the most symbolic moment of Linsanity came 4 days later against the Toronto Raptors. So the Knicks are now riding a 5-game win streak. They've just narrowly defeated the Minnesota Timberwolves a couple of nights after the Lakers game. They're heading to Toronto in pursuit of a 6th straight victory. It's the story of the week. You can't miss it. Jeremy Lin arrives in Canada.
48 years ago this month, Beatles mania invaded the U.S. Tonight, Linsanity
invades Canada.
Wendy, a week and a half ago, few had even heard of him. Tonight, he's selling out this stadium.
And right from the first tip, the Knicks fall behind, down by 7 in the first quarter, 17 in the second, 11 in the third. It's really just been a struggle all game long. I mean, they were due for an off night at some stage. But then the fourth quarter comes, and guess who starts willing them back into this ballgame?
Lin, 3, good!
This was a different Jeremy Lin.
On Valentine's Day, dropping dimes! And Lin with his 11th assist.
This was a I'm not going to let us lose tonight, Jeremy Lin.
Lin to the rim.
This was a get in my backpack, I've got us, Jeremy Lin.
Lin driving and one.
Then came the telling moment. There's 25 seconds left in the ballgame. The scores are tied at 87. Lin passes the ball to Iman Shumpert, who takes a pull-up jump shot and misses.
Second chance opportunity, Lin up top.
Then the ball finds its way back to Lin. He looks at coach Mike D'Antoni, who's calling for a screen. And you can sort of see him say, no, I'll take it from here.
Lin with the ball in his hands.
I see Jeremy with the ball up top, and you can see it in his eyes. This is his moment.
And as the seconds tick down, the Canadian crowd, full of Raptors fans, literally start cheering for him, for Jeremy Lin.
Fans on their feet.
The crowd on its feet here at the Air Canada Centre.
But I mean, how could you not? They didn't care about the result of the game. This was bigger than just basketball. This was a kid who 2 weeks ago was couch surfing, who thought his career was over. A kid who was undrafted, cut twice, disregarded, undervalued, overlooked his entire career. A kid who was in debt, whose parents were both without a job, whose mother had given up half of her retirement fund just so her son could chase his dream. And for a brief moment, every single second of that journey, it was all worth it.
Lin puts it up. Bang! Jeremy Lin from downtown, and the Knicks take the lead. Amazing here at the Air Canada Centre.
Of his 27 in the fourth.
Linsanity continues.
Just when we thought it was over, this pulls another rabbit out of the hat. The Knicks later returned to New York to face off against the defending champs, Dirk Nowitzki and the Dallas Mavericks. The best team in basketball, the reigning finals MVP, whatever.
Novak's drifting in the corner. Lin over Dirk.
Timeout Dallas. How good is this?
From the 4th of February, the day Jeremy Lin's career was literally on the line, he scored 25 points, 28 points, 23 points, 38 points, 20 points, 27 points, 10 points, 26 points, 28 points. Not one single player in the NBA, not Kevin Durant, not Kobe Bryant, not even LeBron James at the peak of his powers, scored more points than Jeremy Lin over that 2 to 3 week stretch.
There will never be anything like it again in sports. Are you kidding me?
Now, naturally, after that Dallas game, things began to die down. For the next month, good games were a little more sporadic, and wins would come and go.
We've got to put Linsanity on pause for just a little bit. The scouting report is out on him. There's enough film to see some of his tendencies.
The Knicks dropped to 17 and 18, and they have now lost 2 of the last 3 as they head to the All-Star break.
But truthfully, it didn't matter. What had taken place over the past few weeks will stand the test of time and may never be replicated. The Knicks would go on to make an unlikely playoff appearance in 2012. Unfortunately, Jeremy Lin sustained a knee injury during a regular season game about a month prior, which would sideline him for the rest of the season. But despite all that, the Knicks did manage to win their first playoff game in 11 years, snapping a 13-game losing streak dating back to 2001. It's safe to say that would not have happened without Jeremy Lin. And while he might not have delivered any tangible success, he damn sure delivered some belief back into an organisation that desperately needed it. The Houston Rockets signed Jeremy Lin to a $25 million 3-year deal that offseason, so it's safe to say he got to pay back his mum and his grandmother, who paid for his college tuition. And while ultimately no stretch of Lin's 9-year NBA career would ever top that Linsanity run. His final season, quite fittingly, ended in an NBA championship with the Toronto Raptors in 2019. Jeremy Lin became the first Asian American to play in the NBA, the first Harvard graduate to play in the NBA Finals, and became the first ever Asian American to win an NBA championship.
And it's a team from Toronto, Canada. We the North are now we the champions.
Jeremy Lin's story remains a reminder that history is written by those who dare to do what has never been done. Those who see obstacles not as barriers, but as opportunities. And by those who believe in themselves, even when no one else does.